Okay, I'm early out today, so we're going to go over 8 factoring problems and then be done. Okay, you get this sheet here. So, again, basically you have to count how many terms this is. It's going to be 2 or 3, okay? 6x to the second minus 60x to the first, so that's 2 terms. Okay, so I want to do my GCF and my DOPS box. DOPS stands for difference of perfect squares. GCF equals, and then see if we have a difference of 2 perfect squares. Okay, so the first thing I check for, again, on a GCF, check for the negative in the front. We don't have it, so I don't need to put a negative there. Check if everything has x. Yeah, we have x second, x first. Again, you want to take your lower power. You have to. Okay, then GCF calculates 6 and 60. Okay, and I get a GCF of 6. So then what I do with the GCF is put 6x to the power of 1 out here in its parentheses, and then 6x to the first, 6x to the first. Now remember how we divide that. First we just divide 6 by 6. That's 1. And then on x we minus the powers. 2 minus 1, which is 1. So it's 1x to the first. Then I take negative 60 divided by 6. That's negative 10. So I just put a 10 down and then just a minus operator. Then I don't need to do the x's because when I have x to the same power on top and bottom, we can just cancel those out. Okay, now cross this out because I don't want to look at that anymore. Okay, now see if you have a DOPS out of these two, a difference of perfect squares. Okay, so the first thing you check for is if you have x to the second. Well, this x is to the first, so that's a not possible. Okay. So that's not possible. We already have, we're done up here. Okay, this is the answer. It's all I need to see. Now, if you have 1 powers of 1, you want to cross them out. If it's not a power 1, you got to leave it there. But if it's a power 1, cross it out. So it's 6x times 1x minus 10. Okay, now the next one, again, we need to count how many terms we have. Okay, put a 1 there, and you got 1, 2, put a first power on that x, and then 3. So this one has 3 terms. Okay, so again, with 3 terms, we set this box up and then this box. Don't make the parentheses till the T-chart's done. Okay, so this is GCF. So first, same idea with the GCF. You check for the negative in front, and I don't have one, so I don't put one here. Check if everything has x. So we got x second, x to the first, and then that doesn't have an x right there, so I don't put x down. Then I punch in 1, 14, and 24 into the GCF calculator. And I just get 1. Okay, so if all I'm able to come up with is 1, we just aren't going to do that. So don't cross this out then. Okay. Then I label an A, a B, and a C, and I multiply the A times C. Okay, so I'm going to take positive 1 times positive 24, and I get positive 24. Okay, I actually got a positive finally, so this is an add to try to get 14, which is positive. 1 and 24. 24 plus 1 is not 14. 24 divided by 2, you're just dividing it in half. Okay, 12 plus 2 is 14, so I have found it. 14's plus, that means that 12, it has to be plus. And we have a positive there, that means the signs have to be the same. So if that's plus, the same as a plus would be another plus. Okay, now what's our A here? Our A is 1x to the second, okay? 1s are pretty easy to do. So I'm always going to be setting up 4 in here. Okay, so 1. Then x to the second would be x, okay? and then your plus 2 and your plus 12. Okay, so 1 and 2. The GCF out of 1 and 2 is going to be 1. Whenever 1's one of the numbers you punch in, the GCF's 1. So you're going to divide by 1, but essentially it just stays the same. Okay, cross out the top parentheses after you've figured it out. Then 1 and 12. So 1 comma 12 is 1. Okay. So it's going to be 1x plus 12. Okay. Now remember, once you're down here in that second box, you have to check your GCF. You didn't do anything, so then that's it. Okay, my next problem, 49x to the second power minus 16. Okay. So again, you have 2 terms. You're back to having only 2. Okay. So I make my GCF box. All of them start with the GCF box. That's the first step in factoring anything. And then I see then if I have a difference of perfect squares. Plus, minus. Okay, so the GCF, check for the negative in the front. It's not there. Now, do we have x on everything? Well, we have x a second here, but I don't have an x here, so don't put an x. GCF calculate 49 and 16. Okay, it gives me 1. Okay, so if the GCF's 1, forget about it. Okay, and then we'd still need this. Don't cross it off. Okay, now dots, check for the x to the second, and it's there. Okay, so I put x's in front of them. Now, is our second number negative? 16 is negative, so I keep going. Now, turn this paper over and see if the numbers are perfect. Okay. So my first number is 49. 49 is perfect, so I put 7 times 7 in front of the x's. Okay, and 16 is perfect, 4 times 4. Okay, so that was able to be done. That is possible. And there was no GCF that I need to put here. Okay, so this is the answer. Okay, my next problem, 20x to the second plus 7x to the first minus 3. So now I'm back to having 3 terms. Okay, so GCF, same principle. Check, so we check for the negative in the front, it's not there. Does everything have the x variable? Nope, 3 doesn't, so we don't put x. Then I GCF calculate the numbers 20 comma 7 comma 3. Okay, it appears I just got 1. Okay, so 1's, that means that we don't worry about it. And do my table, I need an A, a B, and a C, and then I multiply the A times the C. So I'll be taking positive 20 times negative 3. Okay, 3 is negative, and that's negative 60. So I got a negative, so I'm going to be minus, and I want that to equal 7. Now 7 is positive, remember. 1 and 60. 60 minus 1 is not 7. 60 divided by 2 is 30. Just cutting 60 in half. 30 minus 2 is not 7. Okay, 3 and 20. 20 minus 3 is not 7. 17, but not 7. 60 divided by 4 is 15. This one's a grinder, okay? 15 minus 4, not 7. Now I divide 60 by 5. And I got 12. Okay, 12 minus 5 is 7. So I have my 2 numbers. Now the 12 has to be positive. Then I have a negative up here, so the signs are the opposite. Okay, now A is equivalent to 20 this time, 20x to the second. So when we set up those parentheses, we need to put 20x and 20x. and then minus 5 plus 12. Okay, so 20 and 5. That gives me 5, so I divide these by 5. That's 4x. 20 divided by 5 is 4 with x. Negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. So minus 1. Okay, 20 and 12. Okay, I got 4. So I'm going to divide these by 4 into fourths. So 20 divided by 5 is 4. Or 20 divided by 4, my bad. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So 5x. And then 12, positive 12 divided by 4 is positive 3. Okay, so I have these two factors in the GCF. I didn't have anything, so nothing goes here. That's the answer. 4x minus 1 times 5x plus 3. Okay, next problem. Count the terms. There are 2. And GCF. And then I check to see if I have a difference of 2 perfect squares. DOPS, DOPS. Okay, so GCF, we do not have the negative. We don't have an x on the 9, so I can't put x. And then I go 4 and 9. Let's see what they say about 4 and 9. Okay, 1 is all I could come up with, so if the GCF's 1, don't do it. Okay, now the difference of perfect squares again. Check for the x to the second. So I go look up, it's there. So I put x, x. Is the second number negative? Sure it is. A 9's negative. Having a minus there means that number's negative. Now turn this paper over and see if the numbers are perfect. Well, 4 is, that's 2, 2. So 2x, 2x. And 9's my other number, and that's here. That can be written as 3 times 3. Okay, and there was no GCF, so this is my answer. Okay, my next one. This time we're back to 3 terms. So this is the GCF. And then I make my t-table. Okay, the greatest common factor. We do not have the negative in front. Now check all your lines, x here, but not here. Okay. Then I calculate 1, 2, and 63. That's 1. Okay. Okay, so the GCF's 1, so eliminate it. Okay, then I go A times C. That's multiplying positive 1 by negative 63, and I got negative 63. So a negative means I'm going to be doing a minus, and that minus needs to equal 2, which is negative, by the way. So 1 and 63, not 2. 2 is a decimal, so I skip 2. Now I put divide by 3. Okay, 21 minus 3 is not 2. That's a decimal, don't put it. 5 by 5, decimal, don't put it. Now go to 6, decimal. Okay, I got 7, 9. 9 minus 7 is 2. Now the 2's negative, so 9's got to be negative, and we have a negative, so that up here with the 63, so the signs have to be opposite. Okay, so positive 7, negative 9. Now A is equal to 1. Okay, so if it's a 1, so we just make those parentheses. And then 1x, 1x, and then plus 7 minus 9. Okay, so 1 comma 7 is 1. Okay, so just divide these by 1. That keeps that at 1x plus 7. Okay, now I'm looking for 1 and 9. That's going to be 1 again. Whenever 1's one of the numbers, it's just divide by 1. Okay, So that just keeps it 1x minus 9. You ever notice how when they're both 1x's, they don't change? Okay. Now there was no GCF, so that's it. Okay, then our last two. 5x to the second. That's an x to the power of 1. So that's 2 terms. So I'm making my difference of perfect squares. Plus minus in the middle. Okay, so GCF. This is not negative, so I do not put a negative. Now I do have x on both lines, so I take the x to the smaller power. Okay. And then I calculate 5 and 30. Okay, and I got 5. Okay, so once I find the GCF, and it's not a 1, I put it out here, and then I go up and divide. It's like the opposite of multiplying. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. Then on x, you take 2 minus 1. You subtract the little exponents, and that's 1. So it'd be x to the power of 1. Then I take negative 30 divided by 5, and that's negative 6. So I put minus 6. And then 1, these can cross out, okay? Okay, now is this a difference of perfect square? Oh, yeah, after this is done, cross this out, because now I'm looking at these two, okay? So check for your x to the second, but I don't have x to the second. That makes this a not possible, okay? And then you're done right there. Cancel those first powers, okay? Just curve them out. If they're first powers, if those were other powers, which we don't really get, but yeah. Okay, now the next one. This one has 3 terms. So it'd be the GCF and then the table. Okay, so GCF. This is not negative, so we don't worry about that. I have x to the second, x to the first, and then nothing, so I don't factor out x. Then I go 18, 8, 14, and 15. Okay, I got a 1 there. Okay, so if it's just 1, we don't do the step. Okay, now A, B, C. So I will be taking positive 8 and multiplying it by negative 15 to get negative 120. So we got a negative, so I'm going to minus to 14. 14 is negative. Okay. 1 and 120, nope. 2, 120 divided by 2 is 60. 60 minus 2 is not 14. 3 and 40. 40 minus 3 is not 14. 4 and 30. 30 minus 4 is 26. Okay. 5 and 24. As you can see, you get closer. 24 minus 5 is 19. And finally, we do 6. Okay. 20 minus 6 is 14. So we found it. 14 negative means 20 is negative, and we have a negative, so they're opposite. Okay, so negative, positive. Now, A is 8x to the second. So I put in my parentheses, my top ones, I put 8x, 8x. It's that easy. Then plus 6 minus 20. Okay, then I see what I would divide 8 and 6 by using my GCF calculator, and that's 2. So we're going to divide these by 2, and that would become 4x plus 3. 8, 20. And the GCF on that one's 4. Okay. So 8 divided by 4 is 2x. And then negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. Okay, so 5 minus. Okay, there was no GCF, so this is what I go with.